Hey, what's up everybody? Hey, MP here. In the last video, we took a look at installing Contenta using the Contenta Docker repo. And for this video, I wanted to talk about how to set up your front-end application to talk to Contenta here using the existing Docker environment. So let me pull up where we left off. So we installed, as I said, the Docker Contenta containers. So that's what's running now, and it's running off of this Docker compose file. So what we are going to do is we're going to add a new service here. That's going to be our front end service. So I'm going to start a new folder. Actually, I'm not going to do that here. I'm actually going to use Yeoman to generate a new Polymer app. So if you download the Polymer CLI, you can install a Polymer application with Polymer in it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think it might actually install it in this location. So I will first create a folder that's called app. So this app folder is going to be our front end. Let's cd into that. And I'm going to use Polymer init. And I'm just going to generate a Polymer 1 application. This application name is going to be, let's say Contenta app. We'll say Contenta app root. All right, and it's scaffolding out that project and installing all the dependencies to run a Polymer 1 application. Cool. So now we should be ready to go here. So what we're going to do is go back into the Docker Compose file, and we're going to add a new service. So right above Nginx, I'm going to create our app service. So this is going to be our app layer. And the build is going to be, let's actually just use the default Nginx image. Okay. Its ports are going to be, let's expose, instead of running on port 80, let's run on port 8081 and map that into port 80 inside of the Nginx container. And our volumes, let's map our volumes to what we have local. So I'm going to map everything inside of this folder here into the Nginx doc root location. So it's going to be everything that's in my app folder. Going to map that into, I believe it is, now I'm not sure what it is. Let's check the Docker Hub Nginx. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for where the default doc root is in this Nginx container. Okay, so here we see that it's at user share Nginx HTML. Let's use that. And we'll mark it as read only, since nothing inside this container should not be altering these files at all. Okay, that looks good. We don't have to run docker build again because we're not really building an image. We're just using an existing image. So let's run docker compose up. Okay. Now we should be able to go to localhost port 8081 and see our Polymer application. So looks like that's working. Our Nginx driven app service is hosting this Polymer application. Pretty cool. So let's open up this Polymer app and let's see if we can start communicating with Contenta. So I'm inside of the Contenta app root that I created, and I am going to first install the let's close this real quick because I'm going to install a new Bower dependency. I'm going to install Bower install save Polymer elements iron Ajax. This is a neat little tag that does REST calls for us. All right, I just installed that. I'm going to cd back to my root folder and run docker compose up again. And now that I've installed, I'm just going to bump the font down a little bit so we can see a little bit better. I'm going to import that dependency. So that's in iron Ajax. Okay. And let's use iron Ajax here, and we'll start a new tag. So what it needs is a URL, and it's going to fire the result into this function. So we need to create that function and give it a URL. So the URL that we're going to give it is, let's take a look at our Contenta API that's out of the box here. So let's go to /API. We'll take a look at all of the endpoints. Maybe we'll click on tutorial. Okay, if we click on tutorial, you should have a listing of tutorials. So we're going to say that this app is going to pull in a list of tutorials. So let's grab that URL. Okay, and handle response. Let's create that as a function on the Polymer object. And what we're going to get back is an event. And we're going to console log that event. Now let's refresh here and open up our networking tools, and you can see that event come back through. You can see that was an iron request here. Before we dig into that, let's go to the network tab and check out the XHR request. So here you can see that this is the iron Ajax call that went out. Iron Ajax works by saying, okay, if I set this to auto, then as soon as this tag loads, go and fetch all the data at this endpoint and bring it back. So that's what we can see here. So we can see the response, and it looks like, cool, we are getting a response from Contenta. Let's pare this down and see detail request. A response. As you can see here, there's our payload that we received from the endpoint. So if we wanted to hook this up to our front end application, let's say that we just wanted to print a list of tutorials in Contenta. Maybe at first we'll say exactly how, let's set that to a variable, sorry. We'll say tutorials, it's going to be an array. And here, whenever response comes through, if we have detail, then we will set tutorials equal to edetail response dot data, because our list of tutorials are in that data object. Get rid of that. So now this should be updated, so we can probably say something like tutorials length. So you can see that there's 41 tutorials, and let's just quickly print a list of those. Repeat, this is Polymer. What items do we have? We have tutorials. And we'll say, let's look at how the data is structured. We know that we can drill into attributes and get the title. So we'll say print the item attributes title. So now we should get a listing of those. Cool. And if we can check to make sure that that's working correctly, let's add a new tutorial. Contenta Docker Polymer tutorial. Save that and publish. Now if we refresh, you can see that our new tutorial is listed on there. So that is how you can use the existing Contenta Docker infrastructure to put your front-end application on there and start communicating with Contenta. Talk to you later.